If there were actually 17 Robert Pattinsons, maybe some of them would be able to help Matt Reeves with the script for The Batman Part 2. Can we get it done a little faster? I want it. Welcome to Box of Chocolates, where you never know what you're going to get. Today you're getting my opinion on Mickey 17, the new film from Bong Joon-ho, which I was very excited for because he is a very consistent, quality director. I love Parasite, I love Snowpiercer, a couple of his other movies are really good. I like Okja, The Host. He's done a lot of good work. Robert Pattinson is a great actor. There are multiple of him in this film. It's a great sci-fi concept. So this had potential to honestly be among the best of the year. And it isn't. It was disappointing. But there are plenty of good things to talk about, and I like to give credit where it's due first. So let's start off with the positives for Mickey 17. It is a great concept. It's based on a book, but the book is called Mickey 7. And Bong Joon-ho was like, nah, that's not enough. We need more Pattinson. So basically, these people are journeying through space, trying to reach a new planet to potentially inhabit. Robert Pattinson is an expendable. If he dies, they're able to just reprint another version of him. They just put the DNA in the machine, and it chalks out another body. He's got all his memories. There you go. He can just keep going even after he died. And I really like what they were doing with this concept in the beginning, because it's really showing kind of the corporate greed and the way corporations do not care about the workers, the people who are actually getting the job done, the boots on the ground, important people. They're disposable. They don't care about you. They will literally toss you in the garbage. They don't care what you have to go through. You are just something to be used by them. And Robert Pattinson is really good. He's doing an absolutely bizarre voice that on the car ride home, I tried to imitate to see if I should try to imitate in this video, and I just couldn't do it at all, and I decided I'm not gonna try it here. But it's a completely unrecognizable voice, and he completely commits to it. It's like when he was in The Boy and the Heron. Completely unrecognizable voice. The guy's phenomenal, and I love what he's doing here. Playing sort of different characters, but very similar. It's kind of like Doctor Who, in that when they regenerate, they are the same person, they have the same memories, but it's like different aspects of his personality will be a little bit more enhanced or a little more understated, depending on which version of him it is. So like Mickey 17 is kind of meek. There's another Mickey that we see who's more aggressive. And he's great, he's the star of the show, but the other actors are good too. Naomi Ackie is great as his love interest, Steven Yeun is in there, Toni Collette, Mark Ruffalo. Those two in particular are very over the top, but their characters call for it. They're like the leaders of this whole mission, and Mark Ruffalo in particular is just playing a complete buffoon, and so the goofiness of his performance matches the ridiculousness of that character. It's great visually, there are some really good effects. Bong Joon-ho's direction is solid. It explores a lot of ideas, and there's clearly a lot of ambition. There's a lot of originality here, the kind of thing that I would really love to support. The issues just come in the way it's tied all together. So to get into the stuff that didn't really work for me, there's a lot of exposition. There's just a lot going on in this movie that it has to explain about the world, about this technology, about the implications of how this technology impacted society, how it impacted Mickey, what his character is like, his backstory, all of the relationships he's developed over years on this ship, like all of these things, recapping years worth of times. There's a lot of narration. It takes up a good chunk of the movie, and it's just a lot. This movie is trying to juggle a lot, and at times it really feels like too much. For the first, 45 minutes, it's a good while. It kind of feels like the story itself isn't really getting room to breathe properly because there's so much just being told to you and thrown at you. It's like, it doesn't really feel like a story is properly unfolding yet. It still just feels like I'm being told everything I need to know to get to the story that's gonna happen. And then the story that it does finally settle on, the main conflict, is that Mickey 17 is presumed dead, so they go ahead and make the next one. They make Mickey 18, but 17 isn't dead, so now there are two of him, and that's a problem because that's not allowed. And the thing is, that's not the most interesting plot that you could have done with this. We've seen movies featuring clones in many ways before. the journey of him going through all of these incidents where he can just be used as like a test subject. We don't know if that planet has a proper atmosphere. We don't know if there are any airborne viruses on it. So just send Mickey down there without a helmet. If he dies, it doesn't matter because we'll just reprint a new Mickey and we'll get some data. The journey of him going through all of these lives and maybe seeing a bunch of different performances from Robert Pattinson where he can play slightly different versions of the character each time, like that's the way more interesting part. But what the plot actually settles on are like the hijinks of them trying to hide the fact that two of the clones exist at the same time. And that's just not the fascinating part of this concept. And it kind of struggles to maintain momentum because it feels like we don't have a strong goal. It starts to feel like, what is the point of this exactly? Because we're just trying to hide the clone. That's it? Where are we going with this? What are we doing? Like the beginning of the movie, seeing Mickey get up to number 17, burn through all the other lives that he had, is way more interesting, and it's just way more of what you'd think this kind of concept would have to offer. And then the third act kind of goes completely off the rails. The third act feels completely disconnected from everything else that came before it, because the movie also feels kind of thematically confused and thematically messy. The thing that I found was the most interesting was the beginning and how this corporation is using him as what is literally called an expendable. That was interesting, but that's only part of the film. It doesn't really feel like that's the statement it's trying to make, because we're kind of done with that after a while. The ethics of this technology and like the philosophical musings about what makes a person who they are, and are these clones really still him? Is it really a continuity between them, or are they different people? Like that kind of thing, those conversations are the most interesting thing about this idea. And shockingly, the movie's not really about that either. And then in the third act, it's about like animal rights for a while, which is weird, because what does that have to do with the rest of the movie? And you already did that when you made Okja, and that was pretty good. You didn't need to do it again. Like the third act of this movie, when you get into this stuff with aliens, just could have been the third act of any other sci-fi movie. There's nothing narratively or thematically connecting it to everything that came before it to where it felt like it needed to be the third act of this movie. Maybe in like the loosest way possible, you could say these people don't care about life. They didn't care about Mickey's life, and now they don't care about the alien lives. That's pretty vague. So it really just tries to do too much. And I appreciate the ambition and the originality, and I still think movies like this are worth supporting from filmmakers putting something like this out there confidently, an actor putting on a weird voice confidently. It's worth seeing if you're a sci-fi fan or a Bong Joon-ho fan. It's worth giving it a shot. But I was very let down because of what this could have been. It had so much more potential, but it never felt like it really settled on what it wanted to be at all. And I don't know what the book is like, but at least here, it felt like the story was constantly changing the direction it wanted to go in, and it felt like it never knew what it even really wanted to say. And the things about this premise that are the most interesting are not the things that are focused on. So I was definitely let down. It's a 3 for me. It's all right, but I didn't go in expecting it to be amazing, you know, like this is his first film since winning the Oscar with Parasite, so I'm trying to hold back, like, don't expect it to be as good as Parasite. It doesn't have to be. But even with my expectations lowered, wanting it to be as good as some of his other films that are just pretty good, it wasn't even as good as many of them. But that's all I have to say about that. Leave your thoughts on Mickey 17 down in the comments, whether you agree or disagree. I'd love to hear all your thoughts and talk about it down in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe. If you want to see more from me, next review will be for In the Lost Lands. If you want to see me upset, stay tuned. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.